On this week's weekly video fishing forecast, I have more from my trip down in Florida. We have a few words on a new women's potential tog record from Maryland and a how-to about clamming to keep that cabin fever at bay this winter. Also, the weekly reports from our correspondents, all here at thefisherman.com.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners. It's the all-new Freeport Fishing and Boating Show, February 18th and 19th. Get your fishing and boating season started with over 50 exhibitors and seminars from pro anglers. Fun for the whole family. For more information and advanced ticket discounts, visit freeportfishingshow.com to be part of the fun.
I made it back to town just in time for the Striper Day show on Sunday, and it was great seeing many of you there. Once again, if there's anything you'd like to see or hear about on the broadcast, leave a comment below or shoot me an email over to Broderick at thefisherman.com. Now, picking up where I left off in Florida, here are a few more highlights. While going out to dinner one night, I was walking across the canal and came across a huge school of jacks showing themselves. So I ran right back to the car and worked the Missouri top-knot pencil for fish after fish until they left the area. Always goes to show you should have a rod with you, whether you're planning to fish or not. Also, despite what they say, the pizza wasn't bad either. I also got in some more mangrove snapper fishing using shrimp on light tackle. Again, all in all, it was a great trip. If you do make it down south, here is a rig that's foolproof for fishing Florida waters that I use myself. Really simple rig to tie, and for those who haven't seen it before, I'm going to tie it for you. You only need a few things here. So I got the Saltex 3/0 octopus hooks, I have an egg sinker, and I have my leader material. Usually on the knocker rig, it's going to be about a 3 or 4 foot leader. You could attach it to the end of a barrel swivel, which will attach to your braided line, or you could tie direct uni to uni knot. Really simple. So before anything, you want to take your egg sinker, pass your leader material onto the egg sinker first, take your 3/0 hook. It can be any size you want. It doesn't have to be a 3/0, just to make it match the bait. That's the most important part. Go through. I like to tie a clinch knot. Pull that through. Tighten it up. Trim away the tag end. And that's it. That's the knocker rig. You could tell you could tie it in seconds even. Really simple to tie. It allows your bait to move freely if need be. Effective here in Florida for using a live shrimp. If you go to Florida and do some fishing, try this rig out. We are having a mild winter so far, and if you're looking for a way to get rid of that cabin fever, why not give clamming a shot? Check out my video on YouTube that shows you how to clam from the shore. Click on the card in the top right. You may have heard in the news that there is an alarming amount of whales washing up dead on our shore up here in the Northeast. This is now national news, and many are saying that it's the wind farms' transmission cables that produce electromagnetic fields may be the blame. We here at The Fisherman want to get your input, so please leave us comments in the description about what you think.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
We have a potential record tog for a women angler, Jennifer Zuppi of Connecticut, who was fishing Ocean City, Maryland last week. Jennifer's 23.4-pound blackfish is the second largest Maryland tog behind Ken Westerfield's world record. She caught this monster aboard the Canebound, the same boat that Ken had the world record on, and Ken was there as well. Well done, Jen. That's the catch of a lifetime. Don't forget that this video is available as a podcast on iTunes and Google Podcasts. Search for the Fisherman Magazine podcast and subscribe so you can listen to the broadcast and our other content. Let's take a look at the events we have going on. From the 25th to the 29th will be the New York Boat Show at the Jacob J. Javits Convention Center in New York City. For more information on that, visit www.nyboatshow.com. As a reminder, we'll also have a booth at the event every day of it. The Route 110 Fishing Flea Market is on January 29th this year. That's from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Admission is $5, located at Camelot Hall, 585 Broad Howell Road in Melville, New York. The Freeport Fishing and Boating Show is back and better than ever, February 18th and 19th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The all-new 2023 show is a boat show and fishing show fundraiser sponsored by the New York Sport Fishing Federation. It's located at the Freeport Recreation Center. That's 105 East Merrick Road, Freeport, New York. It features tackle, charter boats, a fishing simulator, and boat buying. For vendor information, please call 631-819-2100 or visit freeportfishingshow.com. Don't forget when you're at one of these shows to renew your subscription to the Fisherman magazine and get a package of BKK hooks and fish bites for a new subscription or renewal. And being a subscriber lets you enter into our Dreamboat and Coastal Kayak Clash contest as well. So stop by and say hello and we will sign you up. With our fly and freshwater report, we have Paul McCain from River Bay Outfitters, and stay tuned. At the end of the broadcast, Paul will show us how to tie another one of his favorite flies.
Hello, Matt. Well, you know what they say. I was listening to the weather report. They said these next 2 weeks are the coldest weeks of the winter, typically, right? And I hope they're right, because they haven't been too bad. But hopefully, you know, I'm already down here at the beach looking around. I'm getting a little crazy. I've been very busy tying flies. That's what I do in the wintertime. I do a lot of classes, and so I've been very busy that way. So I haven't been out fishing, but I have been speaking to people. Some people have been fishing upstate because all the rivers in New York State now, almost all of them, are open all year. And so a lot of guys have been going up there, and they've been doing pretty good. You know, they're a little high because of all the rain we've been having. Now, as far as the saltwater, it's white perch only, right? I haven't heard too much about that even. People aren't getting out as much as they should. Now, like I said, I'm tying flies. That's been really my focus, and I do 4 classes a week, Zoom classes, in-person classes, so I'm very busy, and hopefully it's going to warm up a little bit and we're going to get out. Now, keep this in mind. March 25th, Saturday, March 25th, it's the Fly Fishing Expo of Long Island, presented by River Bay Outfitters and a good friend of mine, Kenny. We're working on it. People are getting signed up again. We're going to have a lot of tires. We're going to have a lot of things going on. So make sure you put that on the calendar. It's Saturday, March 25th. It's going to be a great time. Well, until next week, get outside and tight lines.
From the Shinnecock area, let's check in with Mike Dean.
Thanks, Matt. Hey, everyone. Good bumping into a lot of people at Striper Day at Ward Melville High School last weekend. Definitely a good time. Popped into a couple of the seminars. Some good stuff there. A lot of great vendor tables, a lot of good products, and definitely put me into like a tailspin for just not being able to think about how long we have until the spring, but it'll be here soon enough. So still some freshwater stuff going on. You know, some of these milder temps making it easier to motivate for a lot of people, white perch and some of the, brackish areas. So still some stuff to get out there and bend a line on. Viking's still doing a couple of trips. King Cod out of Mauritius still doing a couple of trips. So that's an option as well. And, myself mentioned last week trying to teach myself fly rod. Teach myself and YouTube teach me on fly rod, and some friends as well. So I'm doing that and just been kind of going down to the beach and, just kind of like keep those skills honed on reading the water. Actually saw some birds on some bait. I don't know if it's herring. I'm not sure what it was. It was in pretty close. It's just a great time of year. Like, put the time to use for that knowledge that we're going to, really need to put into practice in the spring. Kind of my 2 cents. So stay sane until the bass are here. I'll talk to you next week.
We're going to check in with Chris Landry now. Chris.
Thanks, Matt. I'm reporting live from Miami since there's very little action in New York besides herring. Polo groundsmen hitting the herring. But we're out here. Aquatic Apes in the background. Mike representing Brooklyn Anglers here in Miami. We've been going out catching tuna, wahoo, snappers, bonito, beautiful parrotfish, all types of variety of species. Having a great time here on official reward guest charters, as well as we rented our own 24-foot boat in Isla Mirada yesterday, where we went to the humps, like a long way out, 15-20 miles. We all got broken off on big fish. The wahoo have really sharp teeth. You got to wire up for those. We're doing every technique here. I prefer the high-speed jigging with 200-gram jigs, even up to 300-gram jigs, as we're dropping 500 feet, ripping up as fast as you can for the tuna. All right, so reporting live from Miami, Sunshine State. Back to you, Matt.
One of our newer correspondents, David Rogers, checks in. Dave.
Thanks, Matt. Let's get into it. I went out this week and tried for herring in one of the bays along the Sound. I brought my green light and a sabiki rig, but had no luck at sunset or during the outgoing tide. However, I still wanted to bend a rod, so I took a trip further into Long Island to find some trout. Trout generally become less active in the winter months, but if you know where to go, you can find them still biting. I managed to find a body of water that had a strong current and casted some power bait on a size 8 hook. A mix of white and orange power bait is my go-to colors, and luckily there were some rainbows around that were still biting. Make sure to stay up to date with my fishing adventures by checking out Funky Fishing on YouTube, where I travel all over Long Island looking for fishing opportunities. Stay safe and warm, everyone. Back to you, Matt.
Let's head over to the Connecticut side of the Western Sound to check in with Max Finch.
Not much has changed since the past week. The herring fishing still remains slow. I'm hearing guys getting them here and there. Places to try is Norwalk Harbor. I've heard a couple call it down in the Stamford area and Greenwich, and then South Benton and Fairfield. You know, anglers are hitting the Housatonic pretty hard. There's a lot of bass. Everybody knows that. They're getting them on the boat and from shore. Guys are throwing umbrella rigs from the boat, Albie snacks, everybody's favorite soft plastic, Lunker City, paddle tails, you name it. Always try to scale down on tackle, like I said last week. You know, lighter fluorocarbon leaders, the lightest jig head you can go so your presentation looks natural, especially when they start getting lockjaw. You want to call, like, we call it a swing bite. You just want to be really light where you're just feeling bottom and then it gets swept with the current. Looking ahead, I mean, I would definitely fish more nighttime for the bigger fish. Still on the river, you know, ups your offerings with some like 7 to 9 inch sluggos, that'd be good. And then our local trout streams are still fishing good. So using, you know, spinner baits, small jigs, all working well. And then we've had anglers going up to the Noggy fishing for the salmon. Remember, you got to use a free swinging hook on your lures for your offerings for the salmon. Thanks and good luck.
The Fisherman magazine has launched their apparel store. Hats, sweatshirts, hoodies, shirts, all on sale now and free shipping with orders over $100. It's the perfect gift for yourself or the angler in your life that you know. Visit thefisherman.com/shop or click on the card in the upper right. Remember to like our video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tap on the bell to be notified when we post a new video on YouTube. Check out this video's description on YouTube for all the related links and index for specific reports. Please support our correspondents by visiting their websites and their social media pages. We'll see you right here next week at thefisherman.com.
Here's another fly, another saltwater fly I really like. It's funny is I can remember, everybody can remember their first fish they caught, and they're on the fly. And this became one of my favorite flies because I caught my first striper on it. I could tell you the day. It was 1991. It was October 21st. It was at Sunken Meadow on that false bar, outgoing tide, 10:30 in the morning, bright sunlight. Should not have caught any fish. I had 2 within 15 minutes, and it was all on the fly called the Whistler. Now, the Whistler is a West Coast fly, and this is actually the way that I tied it back then. I remember seeing it in an article in one of the Fly Time magazines, and then this is when I first started doing some saltwater fishing. And you know what? I have put a lot of bass in my boat. I've also put a lot of fluke on the shore. This fly does it all. I don't know what it looks supposed to be like. I guess a little bait fish. And it has bead chain eyes, and that's what gives it the whistling name. When you cast this thing, it just whistles. It whistles in the air. I like to fish this on an intermediate line, but you could use any line. So let's get to the vise and tie us up one. Well, this is a really simple fly. Where I'm tied it on, the Whistler is tied on a short shanked hook, and as you notice, I take down my barbs right before I tie the fly. I always take down barbs on my saltwater flies, mainly because it's easy to get out of the fish, but mostly it's because I get out of me. So I always take them down. So I'm going to start. I'm going to build a little thread right here, little dam. This is a simple fly that catches fish. It actually comes from the West Coast. This was a fish by Dan Blayton, I believe his name is. He came up with it. And he ties it now a little bit different. And I actually tied a lot of mine on jig hooks. But this is the original style. Was tied on a short shanked. Now I'm going to take bead chain. Nice. It's not going to add a lot of weight to it, but this gives it the name, the whistler. As you cast these, you will hear it whistle. And I've taken many species. Of course, I caught my first striper up with this, but I use it a lot. I catch a tremendous amount of fluke on it. Okay, but I do want to weight this a little bit. And I'm going to use some, this is lead-free wire. Just catch it a little bit, like that. Push it right up there, nice and tight. I'm just going to cover this just to really lash it in there pretty good. All right. Going to take a little white bucktail. I'm just going to pull all the short ones out. And then I'm going to stack these by hand stacking them like that. And I measure it. And I roughly want it about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to cut it. And I'm going to tie it in. Make a couple wraps and kind of force it around. Now I'm going to take a little bit of red, and I mean very little, red bucktail. Well, you're going to take a few strands, and I'm just going to put a little bit right down the side, on each side here. And do the same on the other side. thinner bunch. A little thinner bunch. Just like that. I'm going to take a little more piece of white and put it right on top. Just a little bit. It's always better to build it up slowly. There you go. That looks good. Going to take a piece of red yarn. Just tie it in like this and advance my thread forward. And tie it off. Just like that. Now I'm going to be looking for, I'm taking a saddle hackle, but I want a really, really webby one. And here's a good one. It's close to slapping. Clean all this off, all this little fuzzy stuff. I'm going to tie this in right about here. And bring my thread right in behind the eyes. And now I'm going to palmer this. And each time I work forward, I brush it back. Right till I get right to the eyes. And then I tie it off. And then I do my whip finish. And there you have it, the Whistler. It doesn't look like much. I don't know why, but it catches fish. And when you cast it, you're going to hear it. It whistles. So tie up a bunch, get out there. It was my favorite fly in the spring and in the fall. I can't tell you, I've caught bluefish, I've caught fluke, I've caught stripers. I would believe it would catch even weak fish. And you could tie this in all different colors. But this is the first one I used. So until next week, tight lines.